rest is clarifying. You're going to learn what you do and don't have capacity for anymore. And guess what? You're going to begin to ask with more clarity about exactly what you need. That C stands for community, because when you start asking for help, your people who are meant for this next season are going to respond to your ask, and your community is going to change. And then lastly, when you go through that grace journey, you're going to evolve to the next best version of yourself. So I'm so excited for you to be a part of this journey. You're going to love what we're doing in this community. Follow Kenitra Moselle and follow Grace for This on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, now that that's over, you know, it's the men in here this morning. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's the grit takeover. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Everybody come on in and get some of this learning and thriving from the man's perspective. You know, we got enough grace out here. We got to get some grit. Yeah, just take over. You feel me? Wash all that grace off you. We still travel under grace, but you know what I'm saying? It takes some grit to stay under it.
You better believe.
All right, and got some intros coming in. I'm gonna just go ahead and go for. I don't know how y'all panel see it, but I see it from top right, bottom left, bottom right. All right, I'm gonna go from the bottom right. Introduce yourself, brother Jamal.
What's up, good people? I am Jamal. What you want me to tell them? Like,
just give them a little light introduction. I mean, I know you're known already, but you know what I'm saying? Give them a little something. You know what I mean?
I'm Jamal, Wright, counselor by profession, educator, pastor, all the other good stuff. So I'm in the room.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
come on, disruptor, the purpose disruptor himself. Come on here and tell people a little something about yourself.
Hey, y'all. I am John Mason, better known as Dr. M. And we on this little journey called Purpose Refined by Fire. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Educator by training, disruptor by life. That's all I can say. And I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad. We glad to have y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? Come on through. Garrison. Coach Jack, tell me a little something about yourself.
Only like 3 people call me that in the world. I'm Coach Jack, man. Speaker, coach, and trainer certified by the John Maxwell team. Military veteran, also author of a couple of ebooks, Kick the Rooster and 7 Principles of Man. And I'm in here, man, you know, ready to get down with the guys, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And myself, you know what I'm saying? Darius J, the host. You know what I'm saying? I'm on a couple platforms, you know what I'm saying? You know, Spotify, Apple, inside the men's department with 2 of my brothers, Chris Maximilian and Armani Ladon. I've been doing this podcast thing for a long time, Conversate, you know what I'm saying? Got a new one coming down the pipeline. I actually got 2 coming down the pipeline, but, you know, me and my brother gonna have that set up later on. But, you know what I'm saying? Just thought leader, you know what I'm saying? All around purpose of a man, trying to help men, you know what I'm saying, seek themselves in order to find themselves closer to God. That's what I feel like I do. All right, so today we are talking about wellness, you know what I'm saying, kingdom identity and community. And I feel like most of us, everybody on this panel is has been in the mental health space and had to be in the mental health space on the couch side or either on the talking side. But I feel like we have something to offer to give people in perspective and seeking themselves and finding themselves in order to, you know what I'm saying, like I said, find themselves closer to God. I would throw this question out here. What does mental health mean to you as of today or either in the past, or how did you get to your mental health journey? I will go with I'll go with Jamal.
He passed that quick.
We'll go with
Y'all tripping this morning. What was your question? You said, what does mental health mean?
What does mental health mean for you right now as of today? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we get into mental health and it means one thing in the beginning when we're healing. It means one thing when we're so-called walking that heal path. Because I don't ever really think we truly just reach total healing. I think we reach to the point where we're managing. What does that mean to you today?
That's a loaded question.
Take your time. Take your time.
No, we ain't got all day, Doc. We ain't got all day.
Yeah, we do. Let's go ahead and record part 2.
So mental health within itself is a journey, right? It's a space that a lot of men shun and walk away from and don't want to have the conversation, right? It's a space where masculinity intersects with vulnerability, and that is the fight within the whole mental health aspect or conversation as relates to men. But what it means for me, it's a safety net, right? It's a place of safety. It's a place of comfort. It's a place of revival within me, because it allows you to confront your soul, right? Without the confrontation with your soul, you'll never be healed, or you'll never start the journey for that healing process. So it's several different things that it can mean. It just, again, depends on the individual, for the lack of better words.
Right. Dr. Mason.
And see, that's why you never let him go first. Because after that, you're like,
Yeah.
Let me add this. We see mental health as a symptom of a problem. We only bring up mental health when we think that somebody is cray-cray, when somebody has crashed out, when somebody is no longer positively dealing with the issues of their life, whether that be grief, whether that be anxiety, whether that be PTSD, whether that be suicidal ideation, whether that be whatever is dealing with that person. We only see mental health as a negative. I would like to submit that we need to move mental health, specifically with men, into the same conversation as your dentist, your doctor, and anyone else that you schedule for regular checkups. There is no fear in the couch. Honestly, many of us would benefit from some couch time.
Oh, yeah.
Sitting down, and as my good bishop has said, facing the vulnerability that your masculinity births. We're in a position where we so buttoned up and we so tight that we have nobody to talk to, and all of these things begin to sort of swell within us. And one of the favorite sayings that I have from the bowling world is pressure bursts pipes. And the more you put on yourself from the inside, the greater the chance that somewhere you're going to explode. Or just withdraw so completely. And every man on this call knows when we go silent, we go radio silent. We ain't talking to nobody. You can't find us. We're not returning text messages.
Nothing.
And everybody, what's wrong with him? I've had enough. And before I do something that I'm going to regret, I do the only thing I know how to do. And for me, mental health was, and in conjunction with professional mental health counselors, is a way that we can navigate that a little more smoothly.
Can I say something? I'm sorry. I have to give me a script. If you don't give me a script, I'm all gonna be all over the place.
I got
Mentioned we should treat mental health like we treat our physicians, our dentists, and so forth and so on, blah 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 blah. Right? But that conversation for men is a larger conversation because men don't take care of their health
at all, bro.
Right?
Like that was I was stuck on. I was like, I'm gonna say something.
So they're treating it the same.
Yeah.
We have to change the narrative from like we have to treat it like we treat our regular healthcare physicians because we treat them like trash.
Ooh.
We don't do our physicals. I'm gonna say y'all don't do y'all physicals because
I do mine. I just had some. I had a full blood panel. You know what I'm saying? Take me out of that.
Look, they don't. Men generally don't take care of themselves physically, right?
Y'all do better
because it's always we're on the go. We have to be the provider. We have to be the protector. We have to be all of these things outside of the confinements of seeing about ourselves, right? And we are taught that this is how men operate and how men move. I see it every day in the school system from 3rd grade to 12th grade. It's the same conversation. This is what men are supposed to do, right? And we have to change that narrative, especially within our community.
Dang, Jamal, man, you took my points away. You know what I'm saying?
Give me a script.
It's fine though. It's fine because I still got stuff to expound on. You know what I'm saying? But Coach Jack, you up?
Yeah, man. For me, it's been more about at this point in life. It's been more about prioritizing, as y'all was speaking of, prioritizing my relationship with God, and in doing so, also prioritizing my fitness, prioritizing how I eat and how I train, because those things, you know, as the word say, you know, you place the kingdom of God first and all these things will be added unto you. So that's been my big dive in with mental health. It's like, God, what do you have for me? What do you want me to do? And not to get all spiritual about it. That's just where I've been taking it to. And doing maintenance, as my therapist told me, it's okay to do maintenance. It's okay to check in once a month, once a quarter. And you may feel like nothing is wrong with you, but once you start talking, you be like, man, I've been dealing with this for, 6 weeks or 6 months or 6 years. And you like, I didn't even think that was an issue. So that's where I've been going with. I just been diving in with God and journaling and seeking God on, what direction he has me going. And that's been allowing me to really tap in with him even when I'm training. Like me and my brother talk about, if I'm going walking, I'm walking and talking with God. I drive for a living, so sometimes the radio off because I gotta, you gotta watch what you bringing in, or I'm listening to the word more often. Just really paying attention or about what the things that God has for me and not what the world has for me. That's been my position on the hill lately.
All right. Guess I get my take on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna come horse it back on what Jamal said because nobody rides pigs. So I feel like we need to get to the point where we teaching one another.
Go ahead, brother. I was just changing location. These guys
Okay.
getting kind of loud.
I feel like, you know what I'm saying? I treat it as if kind of like Jamal said, I'm getting to the point where I'm teaching myself to make it as important to me as I put my work. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like a lot of times it's just like I tried to, for the longest time, outwork my mental health. I was just like, man, let me busy myself with things so I won't have to think about everything that I have going on. And it get to the point where, you know what I'm saying, most of the time that work is just numbing. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it ain't gonna say numb to the point where you don't feel it. It's just to the point where you are overstimulated to the point where all you can do is bare knuckle everything and just keep pushing. So it's just like lately just making sure, kind of like when my brother said, man, when I'm walking, I'm talking to God, and when I'm journaling in purpose of actually pouring out my heart. You know what I'm saying? And not just journaling like, hey man, I ate some eggs, went to work, came home, said 5 words to my wife, went to bed. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Congratulations, you got a good husband.
You feel me?
That
But you
type
know
of
what I'm
thing.
saying? One of the best. You feel me? She in the back. She knows how fine I am. I'm a good man. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like making sure that's a priority and try. And when I talk to young men, I try to tell them like, hey man, you gotta learn how to prioritize thinking. You know what I'm saying? And you need to learn how to prioritize, learning how to handle and control and allowing feelings to flow through you instead of bottling them up and stopping them right there in the spot. And then all of a sudden you got a tension headache. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just like, nah, I'm just stopping, I'm keeping them, just stuff it down. But most of the time, it's a lot of times medically, that tension that you have in your body, that stress that you don't release, either through counseling or either through just having that community to be able to pour into you or you pour out to and they pour back into you, refill you, you know what I'm saying? Like an oil change. You know what I'm saying? It eventually turned into sickness. There's a reason why I'm speaking for black men, you know what I'm saying? We die faster. You know what I'm saying? Because we keep this stuff bottled up and all of a sudden it was like nothing kills, like my granddad used to say, man, nothing kill a black man faster than stress.
Yeah, man.
And I'm trying to defeat that narrative every chance I get.
Yes,
You
sir.
know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. That's the root of the disease. Stress, bitterness, anger, jealousy, double-mindedness. If we hold on to that stuff, man, you wonder why you got hypertension and strokes and heart attacks in our community, especially amongst the black men. So yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying. I can drink a cup of that, brother.
Yeah.
Go ahead and add unforgiveness to that list.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
forgiveness. Yeah. Because there's a lot of things that we have a part of our mental diet, you know what I'm saying, that we allow. Well, actually, it's not. We don't add things to our mental diet. We just like we put things that we think that are stop gaps and help us get through the day. But most of the time, we really ain't even thriving inside of the lives that we're purpose for. And like with that being said, um, in his wellness journey, how as men can we help pull men to that inside and outside the kingdom? Because a lot of times we talk about what we deal with, but you know what I'm saying, I want to try to move the conversation to being more, you know what I'm saying, giving people some techniques, some tools and techniques. If it's just a tool, just to, hey, this a hammer. I ain't got no nails, but I got a hammer for you. You find it. We help find the rest. So Coach Jack, I think you'll be a good person to start that one off.
Well, I think not too long ago, I went to a Christian men's retreat. And one of the main things I believe, just pulling from that, we have to move pride and ego out of the way as men. That's one of the only ways I can see us pulling each other in. And as the word say, man, iron sharpen iron. But a lot of times we got that pride and ego in the way. I think it was Dr. Mason sent a scripture. What was the scripture you sent earlier in the week? Excuse me. It was either way in the scripture. It talked about not comparing yourself to others, and I think it's a dangerous place to live in the comparison gap. As a tool I tell you, 15 Laws of Invaluable Growth by John C. Maxwell. He talked about how dangerous it is to live in that comparison gap. And I believe a lot of times we're not moving pride and ego out of the way because of what we talked about earlier, bottling those emotions up, not wanting to be vulnerable. And we're comparing ourselves to comparing ourselves to other people's life. Yeah, Galatians 6:2-5. Where in this day and age, man, we really need to do better as men, moving the pride and ego out of the way, being a little bit more vulnerable with one another, and talking to each other about the things we can do to help each other. Because that's a big thing, is just having enough awareness to ask for help. So that we often feel weak if we got to ask for help. And I think in our wellness journey and what you were saying, brother Darius, we just need to move that pride and ego out of the way and learn how to talk to one another and communicate with one another.
But see now, Coach, now you've opened up another one of Pandora's boxes.
Come on with it, Doc.
When you start talking about men actually being in a position of comfort to open up, now we're face to face with our inadequacies, our shortcomings, our the areas that literally haunt us when nobody's looking. And I had a very good conversation with the bishop earlier last month, and he made a very interesting statement, and I'm setting him up, and he knows it. So he might as well just get ready.
Might as well get ready, baby.
Men seek security. And when there is no security, there is no conversation. Period.
Yo.
And if there is not security where it is requested a conversation, someone is going to be very disappointed. Not because I don't love you, don't like you. It may just be something as simple as I don't feel secure around you.
Right.
Not to share that part of me. Come on, Bishop, what you got to say about that?
Hey, Bishop, before you go, can I ask him a question, Brother Darius?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So, I got like you say, Doc. You know, you don't feel secure to share that information with another brother or whatnot. So, how do we get to that space where we're able to exercise that, or how do you have that conversation with another brother? Is it a straightforward, hey man, you know, because we keeping it to ourselves.
Another good friend of mine shared something else with me, and that's called seat time. Relationships.
Did you say seed time?
Seat,
as in sit down.
Okay.
Seat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, being a veteran, you understand this. Same mud, same blood.
Yes, sir.
When you share your space with somebody and you put your life into their hands, there's a bond that's formed that literally is unbreakable. We don't necessarily spend a whole lot of time with the bros to develop that kind of bond.
That's a fact.
We are one of those, come sharpen me so I can go.
Yeah. Yeah.
This isn't a knife shop.
Yeah.
This is not a knife shop. You don't come in, give your blade to somebody, they go and give it back.
Right.
It's your life that is actually sharpening somebody else. And we don't necessarily like that process. We don't. So in answer to your question, in your sphere of influence, it's necessary to get to know those folks and literally commit to them.
Right. So for the people that's listening, Doc, you mean like environment, in your environment. Gotcha. Yeah.
Well, let me clarify. In your environment, you have a group of folks around you. And Jesus did it really interestingly. He had the 3, he had the 12, he had the 70, and he had the 120. When it came to crunch time, he only took 3 with him.
He only took the 3, yeah. That's real.
He took the 3.
I find that interesting because it seems like you in life, you only really get about 3 solid friends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. I know. Yeah, we're gonna pass it down to the Bishop Jamal before I run my mouth too fast.
Come on, Bishop.
Don't pass it to me. I do not accept the torch. No. No, several things that I can say y'all should have gave me a script. That's all I'm gonna keep saying. Y'all should have gave me a script to stick to, and we would have been a whole lot easier. However, Dr. Mason talked about safety as it relates to men, right? That place of safety, because I think the question was, what I don't forget what we were talking about, but anyway, we were talking about the main question that women ask, like, why do men cheat, right? It's not because they don't love you or you're not beautiful. It's because they don't feel safe, right? And in order to create that environment of safety for men, Coach Jack, like Dr. Mason was saying, like your sphere of influence or those who you are around, we have to create those safe spaces, right? And how we create those safe spaces is we have to be relatable in those spaces. And you have to know your audience. You have to know who you are called to in order to create that space of safety, right? Men sometimes are afraid to show their vulnerability because, number one, the majority of the times our vulnerability has been weaponized against us. It's been used as a weapon. If we share with our homeboys, they get mad. Then they want to weaponize what we shared with them in our vulnerable moments. When we share with those who we are in relationship with, sometimes that is weaponized against us. So now we've created this narrative that I have to hold this to myself and not share, right? One of the things that I found interesting, Dr. Mason, and I think you'll appreciate this, is that when David was stationed, he runs into a cave, right? And of the cave, he found himself becoming the captain of the 300, right? He found himself becoming the captain of these men who were distraught, distressed, and all of these things, discontented in one cave. So you have all of these men that are in a cave, and they all feel the same way, and they are looking to David for leadership. And this is where we are. We have 1 million men around us who are feeling the same way, and they're looking for leadership. This is why the King and Malcolm's movement was so great, because people were looking for leadership. Not that they were like super great men. They did great things at the time, but the space that the world was in, the community for fathers. So when King stepped out as a leader and he mirrored what they felt would be a father to them in their home, they followed him. They did the same thing with Malcolm X. So it's all about being relatable to your community and who you're called to. And this is what David does in the cave. He felt the same way they did. But the only difference is he had something, a connection with the Lord that allowed him to walk in spaces of healing and repentance, that allowed him to mentor these men that were in these caves, to shift them from being distraught, discontented, to mighty men of war, right? And this was the cultivation piece in the cave. We have to find ourselves in spaces as men where we're able to be, number one, relatable, and in spaces where we're able to be in leadership positions where we can lead the men that we are called to. I am in the school system, and I see young boys from 4th grade to 8th grade. That's my group, right? And those boys have the same narrative. I don't have a male figure. Either their father is dead, or their father is in jail, or he is not in the home. So now I am in this space as their counselor. And now they have created this narrative that this is what fatherhood looks like. This is what I want my father to be. I want him to show up at my games. I want him to show up for me, to just have lunch with me. And those spaces where we just show up. And a lot of times we want to have conversations, and we want to share, and we want to hype our brothers up, and we want to pat them on the back. But how can we just show up sometimes? Like that's can we just show up and not say a word? Like, just show up. And the ministry of presence, when we step into the room, because of who we are and because of what we carry, we don't have to say a word. It's the presence that enters the room that changes the narrative.
Yeah.
So dealing with men who are discontented, right? And men who are distraught, like bringing that into perspective in today's language is like, we have to just show up for our brothers.
Because I feel like that's something that God helped me perfect without even me knowing. Because growing up, I ain't had but 4 people around me, 3-4 people around me mostly all the time. You know what I'm saying? It was just like I call them my brothers to the day. You know what I'm saying? It's just like Ron J, Garrison, and Fred. Like, and those people that I built, you know what I'm saying, some supreme camaraderie with. And just like, even in tough times, it's just like, I don't seek to say a lot of things when my brothers is hurting. Most of the time, I just be like, I need to just show up. I got to be there. You know what I'm saying? Because just like when somebody suffers a loss, you know what I'm saying? Or something like that. It ain't really anything you can say to take the edge off a loss of somebody like one of my brothers, you know what I'm saying? Lost a sister, you know what I'm saying? Coach Jack. It wasn't a whole lot I can say, you know what I'm saying, to take that pain off. You know what I'm saying? But I can sit there, I could be there, I can make it laugh, you know what I'm saying? Because we gonna laugh, you know what I'm saying? But it's kind of like what you said. It's just showing up, learning how to show up first. You know what I'm saying? Being consistent in showing up, actually. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's a lot of things that me and my brothers, we did for one another. A lot of time we don't see each other suffer some extreme loss, not even family member, just loss. You know what I'm saying? And we showed up for each other. We might not didn't have a solution or a grain of salt to add to the seasoning, but we were there. We were consistent. They knew they knew if they had a tough spot, or I knew if I was in a tough spot. Just like my wife know who to call. Like, all these people, I'm in a tough spot. All these people, and that's important, having those people around and recognize it, and being able to recognize, hey man, who is these guys that show up for me consistently? Because a lot of times you don't even pay attention to the people that be around you for real. You know what I'm saying? And we get stuck on the people that didn't show up, but we don't really buy into and see who is actually around. You know what I'm saying? It may not be your favorite person, but every time they there, they giving good energy. They always got something positive to say, and they ain't even willing to listen. You know what I'm saying? And even like sister said, inside of here is just like inconsistency invites fear. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, it's the unknown. It's always unknown. When we are inconsistent, we are traveling to unknown spaces. And a lot of times it's just like growing. And even inside, that's like my podcast, the men's department, we are 3 different people. You know what I'm saying? Me and Armand are pretty similar. You know what I'm saying? We always say, we the same side of a coin. You know what I'm saying? It's just like little light, little dog. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we try our best to we may have different perspectives on things. We may see things differently, but I'm never mad at the way they think. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, in order for me to have that wellness with guys, it's just like, you can't go in there and say they got to think exactly like me. You know what I'm saying? No, you need a collective. You need people that can broaden your thoughts in order to get there. Just don't turn people away because they're just a little bit different. That's what I'll leave you with.
You said something, and I know you finna try to move on, but I'm gonna
No, go ahead. I'm good.
Something you said. You said that we're focused on the people that don't show up.
Yeah.
Right. And that is a huge thing, not just within the men, but the community at broad, right? And this is where we lend our energy to who is not present. And right. And that idea of lending that energy to those who are not present it's so embedded in your traumatic events. It's kind of like you want your mama to be a mama so bad, but she really not a mama. She always been a finger popper and a streetwalker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be a mama. So you're craving for that space. And when she doesn't show up, you're hurt, but you know that she's not going to show up. Right. But this is something that you want. So not only are you struggling with the ones who didn't show up, and you're living in that space where it's like they didn't show up, so I'm hurt. You tend to create a narrative where you gravitate to something that looks like that. right? So why am I in these relationships that keep failing? It's because you're reaching for what you want to show up, but didn't show up, and you find yourself with the same thing, right? And that's what we generally do. And I'm gonna try to keep it broad and say as a community and not just
I felt what you wanted to say, because I was thinking it.
we generally do that, right? We generally reach for something that we don't need, right? And I just wanted to jump that because that like triggered me, but you can go to your next point. I'm sorry.
All right, but see, not nice. Messing stuff, muck raking. So answer this question, which goes along with that. So why do we create what we lost if that loss is a positive thing?
We don't see it as a positive thing.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
We don't see. It's kind of like you want. Nope. It's kind of like you are in spaces where I got to get my words. Give me a minute because I'm gonna say something wrong. We don't see it in a positive light, right? We don't see it because this is what we have been conditioned to feel that this is what we need, right? Kind of like looking from the outside looking in. If I go to a particular ministry and I see how the pastor moves with the men in that department or the men within that church, or even just the church in general, right? This is something that I'm looking for in my home, but not realizing that my home doesn't have the capacity to do that. So then out what is there at that particular ministry, not knowing, not knowing that particular pastor who looks like it's great and amazing and beautiful over there is abusive. And it's the same thing that I'm coming from because it looks good. I'm craving that thing that I want, right? Kind of like when you got a wife and you see something on the street that you really like, that you want your wife to be, but your wife really not that, but you looking at that, you really want, you be like, I want that. Yeah. And you got a good thing at home, but you still want the fruit off the tree that's on the sidewalk, that's walking, and you want to entertain that. It's the same concept. You have what you need, Adam and Eve, something with outside of yourself that you already have within you. So it's like that, like outside looking in, like it's beautiful, it's glitter, it's gold, let me have it. And we don't see it as, I'm so glad they walked away.
Yeah.
I'm so glad they didn't disciple me. I'm so glad I didn't marry her. Like those conversations that we don't see, those losses that we don't see as good things, we tend to grieve over those because we feel like this is what we need or we should have had. We brothers and we four brothers in the room, right?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we in here. Let's go.
You knew she was a hoe, right?
Oh, come on. I was waiting somebody to open the door.
You knew all of it. You knew all of these things, and you knew she wasn't good for you, but yet and still, this is what you wanted. Let's take Samson for instance. His was a space where he found himself laying in laps that he should have never laid in. This is why the mental health piece is so important, because we are on this whole traumatized road, and we see hips, lips, and fingertips and think that's it. No.
Boy, that joker laid in a lap so soft he forgot he was getting a haircut.
And this the thing, Darius. He was in this lady lap, and he had a whole nother. Y'all make me say something. He had a whole nother man cutting his hair, and he didn't even know it.
That's what I'm talking about. He didn't even know he was getting a haircut.
It wasn't even her cutting his hair. He was laid in this lady lap, and she stroked him to the point where it was like, I'm so comfortable, and I know my life in danger, but you can have it.
You can have it. I know I'm Samson, but I'm yours today.
I'm yours. Here, have the fruit of my loins. It's like, get the fruit on this tree, right?
Take these locks from me. As long as I'm in this lap, I'm fine.
I'm fine. And we are willing to sacrifice our souls just for laps. And that's the crazy part, because we equate that to masculinity.
Oh boy. We
equate that to being men. Nephew, how many of you knocked down that week, dog? Right? We have those conversations within our community, and this is this space where we're building this narrative that's dumb and doesn't even exist. And we treat the men who want to be better than that as if they're not part of the community.
We replace our young men's purpose with sexuality.
We do. And,
You know
and I see it all the time.
It's a lot of times that these young men don't be able to go after their goals and stuff because we teach them to chase sexuality more than their purposes in life.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? We take away their God ordained walk and just say, hey, let me help you walk the path of sin. Go after these thighs you see on the daily, and come back and regale me with the stories. But we don't give them a purpose and a path. We don't tell them how to navigate life. We don't teach them. We just teach them. We teach them carnal nature first. We teach them to be animals. We don't teach them. We don't walk them down the trail of manhood, because most of the time we take that stuff away from them, and kind of like what you say, like you said, the choices we make, and we know they could be bad choices. And a lot of times I tell people all the time, I have been in a place of making a bad choice, but I also have been in a place where I had to grow up. You know what I'm saying? And say, man, these choices are costing me money, time, which is not a renewable resource, by the way. As much as you think you got time, you don't. You know what I'm saying? Because every minute wasted doing something that you're supposed to taken away for a minute you could have been working on to get yourself ahead. And then we look up and we wonder why we don't have what we had dreamed about, what we talked to God about, what we professed to God about, and stuff like that. And now it's gone down the drain because we gave it up for late night rub.
Right.
Now, brothers, circle back. Hold on, Bishop. Hold on. Circle back.
Is it Bishop's fault? He made me go here. He had me hop on the train with him, and it was a fun ride. I like that.
He pushed you in that rabbit hole. He knew what he was doing.
Hey, man.
Intentional.
You know, I like rabbits.
Yeah, I know that's right. But let's go back to where we started. If men treat health the same way, because what was your statement, Bishop? They treat it like trash.
Mm-hmm.
Purpose is not something that was ever sought. Procreation was. Purpose wasn't. Very few was the household that said, what I would like for you to do is take the foundation that I've given you, and upon that foundation, I need you to build what God has put inside of you.
But Dr. Mason, I'm going to interrupt you right there, because here's the bigger part of the conversation. The foundations aren't solid foundations, right? Shameless plug. I'm going to plug this for my pastor, because I think she's watching. She wrote this book called Sandy Foundations.
Yep. Just dropped. Some of the foundations that we are wanting to build on are not solid foundations. So I understand what you're saying. Like, let's draw the narrative of purpose over procreation, right? However, with dealing with our community, this is a larger conversation. We cannot say build upon the foundation, because we already doing that. Yeah. Because the grandfather, the great grandfather, the uncle, the great uncle, all these people before us have laid that foundation of this is what manhood looks like. They're very far in between that have a solid foundation of what manhood looks like that they want to present to their sons. And even in that construct of, I had a great father at home, he was absolutely amazing, but your father, I'm not talk about nobody daddy, but he didn't have the strength and the sustainability to teach you how to be a man. He just spoiled you from from his trauma. He gave you everything because he didn't want you to go through what he went through. Within itself is false love, because we want to save everybody from going through things. That's dumb, but it's how we are built. But like the idea of building on the foundation, that we're already doing that. We have to change the narrative and set the new foundation to teach our young boys that purpose supersedes procreation.
Yeah.
And this is something that we haven't been taught within our own community. So now we have to draw the blueprint for it and say, I was wrong, right? I made a mistake. Nephew, I made a mistake. Come in, let me talk to you. This is how it should be. right, and correct where we went wrong. We don't, as men, we are the worst at apologizing for what we did wrong. We are the worst. And sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Mason, but like that foundation that you're talking about building upon, purpose over procreation, we never had that foundation. So we have to build that foundation.
Yeah. Because I was thinking along those lines. I was just like, well, you know, even going all the way back in a little history, you know what I'm saying? It was just like we had to reclaim our status as human beings, actually. You know what I'm saying? Because we were used like animals, you know what I'm saying? Just speaking for our community, you know what I'm saying? And we working our way up. We just now getting to the point where expression is okay. You know what I'm saying? Because I never knew what was on the mind of my grandmother or grandfather. Only time that I really was having real tough conversations with my grandfather when I got to the point where he was too old to hit me. You know, I was like, we can have these talks now because you try me. I can flip you this time. But you know, but a lot of times it's just like, because it's like, I know talking to my grandfather in his last couple of years, he had a lot of regret. You know what I'm saying? He had a lot of things that he wanted to express and that he just swallowed because that crossed my heart. Because he wanted to do something better. He knew his purpose, but he wasn't allowed to go into it because everything that he'd been taught him to die to himself so much that he lost who he was.
Coach Jack, you way too quiet. Come on.
Hey, I was soaking it all in, man, because my mindset immediately go to what's the solution. Like it's because I know, like Brother Jamal was saying, man, that we have to recreate the foundation. So how do we do that? What principles do we stand on to redo that foundation? We already know who. Well, some of us know who the chief cornerstone is. So now that we know that relationship with God is going to be that foundation. And once you start building that relationship with God and you start taking that self-accountability, that self-discipline, that self-awareness, and being intentional about, because it's one thing to, I got a 17-year-old son. Is one thing to tell him and his friends or my nephews, you know, I told you wrong. Let me show you how to do it. But then we got to live that way too, because they watching us. I remember my son, I had wrote my vision board, and on my vision board was I had something about my book. And one day when he was about 9 years old, he walked by my vision board and he was like, "Dad, when you gonna finish your book?" And I was like, who he talking to? You know what I'm saying? Like, but at the same time, it made me realize he watching. You know what I'm saying? So we have to do all we can as men moving forward. Like y'all, each one of y'all touched on was and Brother Jamal about recreating this foundation, starting with that relationship with God and being it's gonna take a lot of internal uncomfortable work, but growth and comfort don't coexist. So we gonna have to really stand on these principles, man, and rebuild that foundation. So yeah, I was soaking it all in, Doc. You know what I'm saying? And that's where my mind go to. Is like I hear it. Okay, what's the solution? What can we give the people? Like Brother Darius said earlier, what tools can we give the guys that's listening, and even the women? What tools can we give them to start finding solutions? And the first one pop up in my head is, you know, with the foundation, of course, that chief cornerstone of just tapping in with God, and then, you know, practicing that self-discipline every day.
I feel like somebody just read in the comments was just like so profound. It's just like, I don't believe there needs to be a restructuring, but a return is needed. Because just like, even in me, I don't think it was anything. It made me think about just something just a little bit deeper. I was just like, I don't think it was anything wrong with my foundation. It's just the things over life as people start framing me, my community, my mother, my grandmother, my grandfather. There was some nails missing. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it was some nails missing. A window supposed to been there, a door supposed to been there, and just like it just, I had a house of uh, bondage. You know what I'm saying? That I had to eventually free myself from. But the only way I could free myself from, since it was no door, I had to knock it down and start over from the foundation and build back up. And that was through counseling. That was through my brothers. A lot of us raised each other. You know what I'm saying? We didn't know manhood, you know what I'm saying, for real. So we was just going out here fighting the good fight. It's like, hey, I lost supremely this time, but this is what I learned. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like most of the time we got to take the things that we feel like we lost and turn them into lessons. You know what I'm saying? Because all this loss is honestly a lesson if we choose to just pull back from it and look at it and see it for what it is. And I feel like that's the tool where I tell people to stop focusing in the middle of the picture and pull back and see it for what it is, because there's a lot of things going on inside that frame. You can't just focus on that one thing. You can't focus on that one pain or the numerous pains. We have to learn how to get sorted out and get sharpened. The thing is gonna start through conversation, and it's gonna be a whole bunch of Russian roulette with people when you're trying to learn how to build community and be around men, to be open to speaking, and even speaking in your own house and stuff like that. But those are hard conversations we're gonna have to get comfortable with. And plus two, learning how to learning the tools and reading and writing and talking to counselors and stuff like that alike to build our emotional intelligence.
I'm gonna jump in again, and I'm sorry, but I don't know. Dr. Mason's echo is back. It might be you again. Two things I want to say, and then I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna try to be. When we are building this work, right, and creating spaces for men, I feel like one of the things that we have to take into consideration is that not all men that we come in contact to will be saved, or they will know Christ, right? Or if they do know Christ, they've strayed away from the idea and the concept of who Christ is, and him being, I think Coach Jack said, the chief cornerstone, right? And that narrative that we have to have with them, sometimes we can't have it in King James Version, if that makes sense, right? We have to draw that narrative from a space where it's relatable to them where they are, right? So I'm not saying that you should, that we should sit with them, drink, smoke, and chew, right?
Yeah.
And what those do, but we still have to have a healthy conversation in that space where we can captivate their attention, right? And I feel like when we're in spaces of teaching, that whole confinement, Dr. Mason, you're an educator, right? In those spaces of teaching, it causes people to think.
Mm-hmm.
Create that safe space that causes them to think. Kind of like with, so we got a whole lot of church people on here, I think. So kind of like when Nathan goes to David, he says, David, there's a rich man and a poor man, and he gives the whole narrative.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, that ninja should die, right? Nathan said, big dog, you that man.
You that man. I was talking about.
It calls David to think, because sometimes that we will be in situations where we don't think about what we're doing. This is how we end up with Bathsheba's, right? Because we're not thinking, right? Moving on impulse. And I think I made a post the other day about impulsivity, but that's another conversation. But like, we have to be in those spaces where we have the conversation without degrading their belief system and drawing them into the narrative so that they can heal. Right. Yeah. And the other thing, I think the comment that you talked about returning, there doesn't need to be a restructuring, but a returning to, but there are some people that have nothing to return to. Right. And if they return to what they left from, they're still in the same state or the same situation. So it's like we have to restructure or have the conversation around the narrative, because if they're returning to what they left from, then they're still in the same situation, in the same state. And I get returning as it relates to Christ being the foundation, but some people never were with Christ, so they have nothing to return.
Correct.
And
Now, Bishop, it's interesting that you would go there, because I want you to also, if you would, flesh out the issue that we have so normalized trauma, distress, and failure in our communities that we don't aspire or hope to gain anything more than what we have become accustomed to. That, as you said, that's all we see. That's all we know. So when you ask, 2 seconds, when you ask somebody, what do you want to be? The only answers that they have are, I want to be what I've seen and what I'm relationally tied to. They don't know that there is a world outside of, for me, Georgia. So when you take them outside of Georgia, they're like, I never knew such things existed.
So I will say, I like how Brother Jamal was saying, with like, because I think that's how I talk. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time when I'm talking around people that, you know what I'm saying, ain't Christ centered and stuff like that, I tend to speak in parables. You know what I'm saying? Because it just goes. You know what I'm saying? That's why I think that's why people think I'm younger than who I am, because I can just talk to young people just like, hey, I'm gonna make this digestible. Because my grandfather also taught me this: if you can't teach a baby, you don't quite understand it. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it's just like, if I can't teach somebody that don't know, or even broaden their mind through storytelling, because I like broadening people's mind through storytelling. I like to paint a picture. I need you to see what I'm talking about. I don't necessarily want you to listen, because most of the time, as men, we are more visual. And the more you paint a picture for a brother, for he can see himself inside that picture, I think he understands it better. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you got it. It's just like, hey, meeting people where they at. You know what I'm saying? As we say in the church, meet them where they at. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, and I feel like the more we do that, and we don't try to err on the, because I tell people all the time, I'm highly flawed. You know what I'm saying? Don't get on here and see me around people that, you know what I'm saying, and think I'm just like everybody else. Because the thing of it is, I'm approaching who I am. I'm not gonna approach you with a title or anything like that. I'm Darius J. That's it. Regular Joe Smo. If I'm in another room and they present me as that, that's what I'm presented as. But you know what I'm saying? But most of the time when we come to other men, for some reason, titles intimidate men. You know what I'm saying? It's just a weird thing. It's just like, when you feel authority, you are less prone to open up as a man.
But that's another that's but does the title really equate authority though? Right?
But in this patriarchy that we in, it does.
We've been given that narrative that they're a title.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
To me, and I used to get in trouble for it all the time, because like, you're an apostle, yay, you get a gold star, right? Yeah. Congratulations, whoop-de-doo. That title doesn't equate authority. Our authority is based in relationship. It's relational, right? So even with our relationship with the Father, like when disciples asked Jesus how to pray, he said, this is how you start, our Father. He gives them the connection between their authority, right? He gives them that pinpoint, like, this is where your authority lies, in your relationship. And this is how we have failed as men within our authority, within our community, because we don't have true relationship in those spaces. We want to carry the title and run into the space. We're going to save the space, but we don't have a relationship with the space. So we don't have that true authority that we will have in those spaces. It's all about building relationship. I have right now about 100 young Black men on my caseload, right? And in those young black men I've seen from 4th grade to 8th grade, the narrative has been the same. They are afraid of those who carry the title as principal or AP or dean. Everybody else's title don't matter, right? Because they feel that the title represents that authority. But my relationship with them supersedes that idea and the concept of that title. So when I step into the room, because they have respect for me out of the relationship, they automatically fall in line. Right. So it's that concept of can we have a conversation about that later on? Because so these titles wear me thin, like they get on my nerves.
Yeah, because that's the one thing that I even knew that as a young man I did struggle with that for a sec. But the older I got, the more I understood that, oh no, that's like makeup. You know what I'm saying? For real. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the grand scheme of things. And then it allowed me to, because it took, I said it was Mr. Kenneth Johnson, Kanisha's father, that made me see that titles don't mean anything. Because he was just a regular dude. He was just talking to us just like we was regular people. He just came with earnestness. And I was just like, man, I taught this guy. He regular. I mean, he just preached an amazing sermon, but he got it. Everything he did extended past the pulpit. If I say that, it was you could see people's heart. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times that's why I was just like, man, let me check and see where their virtue lies, because their virtue lies in that title. I know that's saying, you know what I'm saying. But if it extends past that pulpit, I know his heart is really with God.
Right.
God is all about the people. You know what I'm saying? It rains on the just and the unjust. Oh, well, we got down. We this time is going so fast. Jesus Christ. The clock on crack.
Did we hit the points we were supposed to hit?
Hey, no. Nope. I mean, I would say we did, but it wasn't structured. You know what I'm saying? So if y'all catch this, just look for the points inside the umbrella. You know what I'm saying?
If y'all could, Coach J, Darius, and Dr. Mason, if we could address that, the point of identity. If y'all could talk or speak to that for our brethren and our sisters also, like the idea and the concept of who you are as an individual, or how do you find your identity? How do you know who you are in these spaces? I'm just gonna pose a question.
I like that. I appreciate it. Coach Jack, go ahead, man. He ain't saying nothing all day.
I'm gonna go back to what we was talking about earlier, man. About, I mean, I can't tap dance around it. You gonna have to know yourself to grow yourself. So it's gonna take that grimy, gritty, uncomfortable getting in touch with your inside man or your inside woman. You're gonna have to ask them uncomfortable questions, and you're gonna have to really dig deep and take that journey serious. Because if you don't, like we was talking about earlier, you will end up right back in that comparison gap, looking at your life, comparing it to a celebrity or somebody online or somebody in your community. When that I like the quote, I don't know who said it, but comparison is the thief of all joy. So you have to dig deep, tap in with God, and as far as meeting people where they are, even if they don't know God, then you still need to tap in and ask yourself those hard internal questions, like who am I? And what is it that I want to accomplish? Why do I want to accomplish it? That asking that, having that why answered. Why do I want to be this? Or why do I want to be a leader? Why do I want to be a business owner? Why do I want to be a dad? Or if you already find yourself in those spaces, you still need to have those uncomfortable conversations. and preferably, you know, have somebody to talk about it with, you know, because that's identity is so very serious that they took it away from us. So just think about it like that. Like, knowing your identity is so serious that they stole it away from us. So now you have to really find out, okay, why was my identity so important that they saw fit to take it away from me even before I even knew who I was. And for the spiritual people, God told you he knew who you was before he formed you in your mother's womb. So now if for the spiritual people, you got a great reference to go directly to. God, since you knew me, are you ready to ask him that question? Make me that person that you knew me to be before I was here. Or can you give me some insight on what it is I need to do so I can get to know myself better? For me, those are the things that I have done, not to say that I'm better than anybody else, because you don't want to talk about the losses and failures, but at the end of the day, that willingness to learn from the not so good decisions, or you start to realize, oh, I just didn't know who I was. So now you have an opportunity to, you know, build on that. I remember asking myself the question, and I'll leave it alone after this. I was mad about something one time, and I was praying to God, talking about it, and I was like, the question came to me, knowing who you are right now, would you commit to you? Now, the answer was no. But I got excited at the same time because I was like, man, I'm so much better than who I am right now. So let me get in touch with my identity and let me get in touch with my reasons why. So I had to start journaling and really having those quiet moments where I'm sitting with nothing on, no phone, just a pen and a pad, figuring myself out. That's important especially when we have to step out here in the world and face so many challenges and so many other people. You need to know who you are. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. So you need to know who you are, and you need to know your reason why. So for me, brother Jamal, for me and my identity is really back to what I said earlier. Thank God that I had a moment to be able to tap in with myself and tap in with God and realize that most of this identity thing gonna come from me building that communion with God, and then him leading me to go talk to my dad or my mother or, you know, my uncles and really figure this thing out. But I think it's very important. That self relationship is that's the most important relationship. So that's what I got to say about it.
I see we got a question in here.
What's the question?
As a parent, what are some things I can give my son a solid? As a parent, what are some things I can do to give my son a solid foundation? Granted, I know I'm not a man, but as a mom, how can I support him?
Find him a mentor. So I'm gonna say this: find him a mentor and find yourself a mentor. What I found out about single moms is because my mom ran a stint of single motherhood, right?
Yeah.
What I found about single moms is that single moms want the best for their sons, right? They want to see him do well. They don't want to see him in trouble. They want him to succeed in life. They want him to be great, right? And in all of those things, with being a single mom, you have to find him a mentor, right? Someone that you trust and someone that's not going to violate him, right? Because there's some perverts out here in this world that are capitalizing on your vulnerability as a mother to get a hold of your sons, right?
Yeah.
But you have to find him a mentor that is going to cultivate him in the spaces that you don't feel comfortable cultivating him in, right? And I'm gonna say this, some people may get mad. Find him.
Go ahead, man. Let's go.
Say it, man. She needs to know.
Man.
Say it.
Your script. Stop taking your sons to these pastors that are not good fathers themselves, right? And trying to make him disciple and cultivate your sons. That's beyond wild.
He's just gonna teach you. He's just gonna teach him holy pimping.
That's all,
Can,
right?
can I add something to what you
Not
said,
holy
Bishop?
pimping.
Yes, sir.
Hey, to the Mrs. Steele who asked the question. Another thing, who's his barber? Who's his coach? Do we have any male educators? These are people you want to pay attention to as well. These are people you want to have a conversation with as well to see what their mind is. Is his barber someone that you would want your son to grow up to be or like? Not necessarily be him, but be like him. You know
They have
what
the
I'm saying?
attributes of.
Right. What's his uncles doing if he have any? Or your dad. Those are the things like I appreciate my mom for she would always drop me off to my uncles. Like it's in a heartbeat. I'm with one of my uncles fishing, hunting, working on something, cutting grass, something. So, and down to like you say, the barbers and the coaches. The coaching came to my house a few times. So so that's another thing to add to what Bishop Jamal was saying. Like those are people that you want to pay attention to that's around him.
Coach Jack, I'm sorry, I am nobody's bishop, and I don't.
Oh,
Yeah,
somebody call you Bishop when you
Don't
came
run in
on
that
here.
rabbit hole with Darius and Kanitra and Dr. Mason. Don't go down there with that.
You speaking it into existence there, brother.
No, we good over there though. But
Nah,
Quacks
everybody keep,
like a duck and
everybody
it
keep
rolls
calling me
like a
pastor,
duck.
and
It's
ain't
a
no pastor.
duck.
but to Miss Steele, like again, like find your, because single moms, they either overcompensate or undercompensate, right? And there needs to be a balance. And what us Black boys will do, we'll capitalize on what you offer. So we know that you're gonna overcompensate. We're gonna capitalize on that every day. So you need someone that's solid, that's gonna say, YN, chill out.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, chill out, big dog.
Right. And speak that have that conversation with them in that space where they feel safe and that their vulnerability won't be weaponized against them. Again, it's going to take a community, right, to build our boys to a space where they're strong men.
Yeah. And that's just like I say, that's an example my mom got. That just like my mom always put me around a bunch of cricket sticks. You know what I'm saying? But my mom also knew one thing about me. I knew how to see good and bad and take what I need from those things. And I feel that's why she kind of like trusted me around certain people, because I was gifted in that area. Because I'll be like, I tell people all the time, I learned some of the most important things in my life from a crackhead.
Oh yeah.
Like I tell people, it's like, because the thing of it is, he was teaching me, he showed me who he was, but he was also teaching me, don't do this because you're going to end up like this. If you do what I did, this is where you're going to be. This ain't good. I'm suffering. He really told me that. He was like, yo, this is me. I'm suffering. I'm in pain. You don't pain like this? No, sir. Saying, but a lot of times, because just like I say, my community, it was okay, but kind of like it was a lot of people that stood on their titles. You know what I'm saying? And I watched a lot of rugs get snatched from up under them people. And for the longest time, I trusted the streets more than I trusted anything else. You know what I'm saying? And mentorship is hard to find. I'll just say that.
It is.
Perfected mentorship. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times we seek perfection in that mentorship space. They're like, this person got to check all the boxes. I say look for 75%, because it's going to be hard for you to find that 100%. I'm going to just put it just like that.
Hey, bro, and that's just like, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead, Coach.
Oh, that's kind of like a few people were saying in the comments about the village, and that's what we're saying, alluding to earlier about who's around your son. Is he involved in sports, debate team, drama team, FFA, or something? Check these men out. You know what I'm saying? Because you may have to have that conversation and say, hey, that your Pop Warner coach, he a good guy, but don't do this part. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might have to have that conversation to the lady. I think it was Mrs. Steele who asked the question.
Yeah. That's
Mm-hmm.
true.
Pastor Keith. That's my brother. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So
I wanna say this real quick. You talked about checking boxes. It's hard to check boxes when you don't know what you're looking for. That's the kicker, right? Because you're looking for something that you're looking for a unicorn. Unicorns don't exist, right?
facts.
So you trying to check a box off for a magical rainbow and sprinkles and one single horn, and he's able to fly through the air. Like you're trying to check a box when you don't know what you're looking for, right? So it's good to have conversations, right, like this with men. So that you'll know what to look for when you're pointing in that direction. And another thing, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna shut up. I promise I ain't saying nothing else. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna chill out and have me some pizza. One of the things that I feel like when we are addressing the issue of identity, we have to understand that like we can't marry personality and identity, because sometimes we'll look like this is my personality and we'll feel like that's who we are, right? Our personality is not who we are, right? But how we are. It's like how we navigate. This is how we do it, but this is not who I am. That makes sense.
Right.
But we can't.
Right. That make a lot of sense.
And I always tell my young boys this: just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you should do it. And I think I said this to Dr. Mason also. Just because you can do it, that doesn't mean that you should do it, right? And we tend to get those lines blurred and crossed because we've been taught so long. If you good at it, that's your purpose because you good at it. No, I keep forgetting we live. There's some things that we are all good at, but it's not purposeful for the places that the Lord wants us to go. I'll put it that way, right? Right. And even back to like Pastor Darius, you said that you learned a lot. I'm gonna pick on y'all, so y'all picking on me. There's a lot that you learn from the local crackhead, right?
Yeah.
And we can learn a lot from those places, those people who are in those spaces who have addictions. But my only thing is like you triggered me when you said that.
Yeah.
Crack might not be our addiction, but we're addicted to something.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right. So we have to learn how to navigate those spaces. And I'm glad you brought that up because it helps us I'm gonna say for people that are sane, it helps us recognize that our addictions are just the same. It just might not be crack.
Yeah. I'm addicted to cookies.
Listen.
Hey, I want to say one more thing to Mrs. Steele, because I know Dr. Mason about to say something, but to the young lady who asked the question, because we didn't say it, but not to get in your business, but who's around you as well, that make a big difference. Who's a guy around you? I hope it's not plural, but you know what I'm saying? You got to pay attention to that.
Don't you just love the way he just opens up the door, kicks you through it, and drops the mic?
He's smooth now. He's smooth.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm to Miss Steele and to the panel, I'm going to add a couple of things. Number one, I came from a family that had two parents, but one was so busy working that they weren't there. It was a single parent household, which is very strange to most, but very common now.
Mm-hmm.
You may have two parents in the household, but only one active. The other one is out slaying dragons, doing whatever, and it's not always the man. It may very well be the mom. It very well may be. What I found in that journey is it's not necessarily what I need or want. My mother impressed what she thought I needed or wanted. You know that whole myth, train up a child in the way that they should go?
Yeah.
We don't necessarily believe that. We believe that we know better than God what the child needs. And earlier I put Psalm 139:16 in the chat because to me, that's one of the pivotal scriptures that I live by, specifically as it relates to purpose, because God said, before you were formed, I wrote your substance in my book.
Right.
That means he's got a library that he can go to at any given time, pull down a book that's got my name on it. And in that book, he's written everything that I need to know about me. So
hey, man, send that book to me.
To the single parents, to the two parent households, ask God to share with you what he wrote about your child.
I could tell people why they don't think that, but I don't know. Oh, God.
And then lies. I'm about to open it up wide. I'm gonna open it up wide because this is a shameless plug, a twofold shameless plug.
All right, let's go.
When we don't ask God about what our child needs, this is what happens.
Oh, who is that? Jamal's book?
This is what happens.
Man.
What we do is we put a title, a label, a path, a journey on our child that they never were meant to be in. They're going to be an engineer. They're going to be an educator. They're going to be a police officer. They're going to be a firefighter. They're going to be an alpha. They're going to be a Q. They're going to.
Hey, man, I'm sorry. I know we ain't got a lot of time, but I got to just crack this door just a little bit.
Hold on. I was quiet. It's available.
What's that?
Oh, boy.
This is the Shift into Purpose Journal.
Oh, man.
For Coach Jack.
Amen.
Yeah, I need that. I need the link. Put the link in the email.
Let's just go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
And make it easy for a brother.
Yeah, man. That's a good tool. That's a great tool.
Let's make it easy for a brother.
Oh, man.
But herein, as we speak about identity,
okay,
y'all have given the foundational so true. God knows what he has for you. You've got to sit with yourself to hear your inner voices that you don't want to go to. You've got to shun the labels that may be placed upon you that God never had for you, which means that you're going to have to surround yourself with wise counsel. Wise, and all counsel ain't wise counsel. Some folks, and the bishop has basically said this 14 different ways. Sometimes you're around folks who just like to hear themselves talking. Holy pimping, I think is what you call it, Darius J. Yeah. And if you pimped out, it's not for your benefit, it's for theirs.
Oh, boy.
So what I'm going to tell y'all is safe spaces in a community that loves you and wants the best for you, and more than anything else, wants for you what God wants for you. Then you can align with that thing that's on the inside of you. What were you put on this planet to accomplish?
Or and it ain't got to be grandiose.
Or Bishop has said, what things? Because he believes that there are multiple purposes that a person has on the planet. And once you finish one, you go to your next assignment. But again, that's part 2 for real.
Yeah, I'm about to say, because I do. Ooh, Well,
That's part 2 for real, for real.
I would like to have that conversation.
But I'm gonna put this out here to the panel specifically
Okay, let's go.
for the bishop.
Dang. Singled out
How
again.
do we safeguard against wolves in sheep's clothing saying, "Come this way"?
Oh. Dang.
But what if you the wolf?
Move. Oh, what if you the wolf?
So
Oh God.
you always try
Puffing
to
and puffing.
you always try to trigger me. Like there are a few things that you did say in that narrative, right? A few things you did say in that piece that you just gave us your monologue. We appreciate it. I thank you.
Thank you.
Really,
I like
really, really,
shift. I like
really.
it. But listen, I feel like this, and I'm gonna be quiet. I promise you I'm not gonna say nothing else because we gotta go home.
Gotta go home.
I understand that we are followers of Christ and we're in this space and we're the light to the world. I get it. We're light, we're salt, all this other stuff. But I feel like we're treating it as if everyone that we are speaking to, that they know Christ.
And they don't.
Because you made a comment, Dr. Mason, that you should ask God about your child, right? What if they don't know God?
Mm-hmm.
That's the easy fix, right? That's the easy fix. We introduce them to him. The other hard part is those that know God who are hyper religious or hyper spiritual, they can't hear God over their own soul. So what if you do ask the Lord, but your soul is speaking louder than him and you're pushing your child down a pathway that you created, the Lord never said, but you feel like it's God because your soul is real loud and you're hyper spiritual and you're connecting all these dots to like, this is the Lord, and it's really not.
Oh, what? Wow, stuff right there, boy.
Right? You can talk about wolves. These are the wolves.
Well, werewolves.
When your soul is louder than God. And it happens. It happens because how we've been trained and cultivated and managed in the confinements of the church. It's those things that will say, like, that's the Lord. The Lord say you're going to be this. And it's not God. It's even Samson's parents did not perceive what God was doing. He said, give me that Philistine. And they was like, no, go marry somebody else. And the scripture says that his father did not perceive what the Lord was attempting to do because his soul was speaking louder than God. So we have to create a space where we teach people how to hear God and not hear their soul. This goes back to the idea and the conversation of identity. But when we don't hear God and we hear other voices and we hear other people speaking back to the garden, we forfeit our authority. We give all these things away when we don't know how to quiet ourselves and hear from him. You triggered me with that, and I'd probably didn't even answer your question, but that was a trigger, and I didn't even hear your question. But now, so what was your question again?
Oh, you did exactly what you did exactly what I need you to do. You good? Man. You absolutely good.
I'm about to say he just puppeteered you right there. he got you to do what he needed to do.
We call that volleyball. That is the set and then the spike. That is not puppeteering.
Oh yeah. Hold up. I mean to put it like that. I apologize. You're not a puppet. But y'all both said something that it triggered. Jamal, you started to come, but I'm gonna go ahead and just add a little bit of razzle dazzle to it because I just need to draw it back a little bit. Because a lot of times parents can't teach their kids how to anything because most of the time they only teach survival. They're not teaching their kids how to live. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we repurpose life as, hey, this is what you're gonna need to do to survive. That's why people name the big things in industries like engineers, doctors, lawyers, and all that stuff like that, because they know that it's safe. You know what I'm saying? You don't allow, a lot of parents don't allow their kids to be who they want to become, because just like kids develop identity pretty soon, you know what I'm saying? They start to grow, they start to add to the thing. They know what they like, they know what they don't like and stuff like that. But the more we have those parents that just is like, nah, I did so much wrong by having this freedom, or I did so much by having this overbearing parenting. I'm gonna relax a little, or I'm gonna be more overbearing. If I had a parent that was too relaxed, I'm gonna be overbearing. If I was had a parent that was too, you know what I'm saying, overbearing, I'm gonna be more relaxed. And they start to teach their kids out of those things. And a lot of times, even for people, you know, that don't know Christ, don't have a relationship with Christ and things of the such, they tend to have these, they live vicariously, as the sister said, living vicariously through their kids, because, you know what I'm saying, they don't ask the manufacturer, or they don't even know to look inside themselves most of the time. They don't know what to think about. They don't know how to live. They just teach survival. This is what's going to get you through. So I'm going to just teach you how to survive. I'm going to teach you what beans and rice is. I ain't going to teach you that there's other things that you can achieve to even get to the place to live and think. You know what I'm saying? Because the thing of it is, when you teach a person to survive, you pretty much cut them into a third. Because survival is needed. Because whatever we use in order to survive and get to the next day, when we're at that point, is needed. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't gonna take that away and ain't gonna say that's a bad thing, and you know, for time purposes anyway. But also, as men, are you living? You know what I'm saying? Do you know to live? Who are you when you sit by yourself? Who are you when you're thinking? What do you think about yourself? Or do you even know to think about yourself? Where your heart lies? What makes you happy? Or what makes you peaceful? Because happiness is a very fleeting thing. You know what I'm saying? I tend to ask people, are they peaceful most of the time? I stop asking people, are they happy? But man, really just take the time to seek, sort through the weeds of your life, sort through the weeds of your soul. You know what I'm saying? Learn to like yourself. And then learn to love yourself. Anything else, guys? Coach Jack, you been over there quiet in the construction zone.
Hey man, you know me, I be in the cut. The thing I say, man, is to anybody that's listening and to us on the panel, just one thing that was told to me was be extremely patient with yourself. And I would tell anybody that's listening, man, it's a journey. So don't expect it to be easy. But at the end of the day, what do you really want? What's that reason why? What do you really want to accomplish in all this? And whether that's parenting, yourself, whatever it is, it's a journey, man. So just, be ready and get excited about it. Find ways to get excited about it, man. Find like-minded people and wise counsel, as Dr. Mason said. That's something that I will say. I'll leave it like that.
Let me interject one quick thing. I love the bishop for this very reason. He reminds most on a regular basis that we may be the only Bible that somebody reads. We may be it. And we need to move. I need to move from the space where the message is only for those who are in relationship with Jesus. The message is for men in relationship, don't know him, can't spell it, aren't thinking about him. Because very honestly, if you can't have a relationship with somebody just because, you've missed an opportunity. Jesus never said, if you don't go to the synagogue, I can't talk to you. He went out of his way to find everybody.
Yeah.
whether they seem to have it together or if they literally had it all, it was all jacked up.
Yeah.
That's who he went towards. So I need to do a more intentional job of broadening my arms to embrace those, as you said, Bishop, and rightly so, that may not be in relationship.
Yeah.
They may not even be thinking about God at this point. But that doesn't mean I cannot support them. I cannot love them. I cannot be there for them.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jamal. You have any closing remarks? As we haven't met that time where people need to go get pizza and whatnot. Unmute yourself. Unmute your mic.
This is my close. This is the grand finale for me. I'm you triggered me. You made a comment about happiness.
Yeah.
Right. Like you say, you shifted from asking people, are they happy, to are they peaceful, or
Yeah.
like that, right?
Yeah.
I want to be devil's advocate. Happiness is very important to men, right?
Yeah.
It's part of like the emotional well-being, mental health aspect. And I feel like we have to have a broader conversation around that one day.
We should. I would like to.
Because that narrative of how to define what happiness is, right? And how to define what makes me healthy emotionally, right? Because favorite movie, Inside Out, I know it's a kid's movie, but like the whole conversation of what's going on the inside of me, it matters, right?
Yeah.
So like if we shift that narrative, like, are you peaceful versus are you happy? We don't address how they feel. And I just had this conversation with a student yesterday, that like your feelings are valid. Like how you feel, that's valid. They may say you wrong, but like how you feel in that moment is very valid. And like I feel like a lot of men are on a search for what happiness looks like for them. And we have to learn how to walk them through that space of finding what that looks like for them. Because we'll I keep wanting to say the wrong word. We'll want to be the side dude because that makes us happy. But does it really? Right? Just because you get a Twinkie and you got to come in at roach hours, like, does that really make you happy? Or are you just satisfied with that space?
Yeah.
Right? Those conversations we need to have on a broader scale as far as happiness. But I will say this in my closing. That my journey, my goal in life, in this space that we're in, is to help my brethren, right? Move into spaces where they are whole, and come into the spaces of a holistic approach where we help the whole man heal and not just portions of him, right? And we have to start with our young boys.
Yeah.
Shameless plug. I'm working on a workshop for young men on how to reclaim our young Black men. So y'all be on the lookout for that, right?
Gotcha.
And that is a space that we need, and it is necessary. And we have to come together as a community. And when we find ourselves in that cave, someone has to step up to be the leader, to lead us out of the cave, to be mighty men. So that's my close.
I guess my closing to be like, hey, my name is Darius J. I'm 1/3 of the men's department. If y'all want to talk and listen, y'all want to listen to all things men. I ain't gonna say really just all things men, but you want to hear men growing through the things that they grow through practically, check out the men's department. You know what I'm saying? It's funny, and yeah, it's raw, very raw. You know what I'm saying? I'm just say that. You know what I'm saying? If you know me, you know what I'm talking about. I feel like now it's just like I learned what my purpose is in this next phase is actually to like young men. You know what I'm saying? Because when I was young, I was looking for a father. You know what I'm saying? I wanted a father. I failed to admit that to myself, and I finally admitted to myself as an older man that I was looking for that. I was looking for somebody to be the leader, to lead me out of the cave. But, you know, God being who he is and seeing the bigger picture, he knew I learned some things without that through other men and other shards that collected themselves around me, and I became who I am today, and I'm still becoming until the day I die. But y'all check me out at The Thought Process 7 on Instagram, The Men's Department on Spotify, and everything you can listen to a podcast to. Yeah, TikTok, Facebook, all the same thing. Doc, plug yourself.
I do not want to be guilty of giving a soliloquy at the end of this wonderful time together. But on Monday, May 5th, we are beginning the Shift into Purpose 21-day journey. I have some of it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I just realized my face on here.
Oh, yes, sir. Your face is on there.
I need a patient.
Because you unfortunately signed up and said yes. You gave God your yes. You gave me your yes. And Coach Jack, the only reason why you ain't on here is because I didn't know you then. But I promise you.
I have my spot.
No, sir. No, sir. After you laid out the firewood today, oh, no, sir. People are going to be looking for you. They're going to be.
Hey, I'm here.
They want you.
Hey, just put me on the next one, dog.
Yes, sir. I can do that. I can absolutely do that. But this is going to, and for those of you who are trying to figure out what SHIFT stands for, S is for sit with yourself in Jesus. H is for hear the Father's voice. I is for invest in your purpose. F is for give offenses. And T is for take accountability. These are the linchpins that we've talked about tonight of what men are having problems with. We don't like to be alone, so that our thoughts have to be dealt with. We definitely, if we know God, if we have a relationship with him, we don't necessarily want to sit still long enough to hear his voice. And, Bishop said it best. I'm too busy allowing my soul to talk to hear what he has to say to me. We don't invest in our purpose. Once we figure out what we're supposed to do, some of us are struggling. Why? Because we want the money, not necessarily the calling. And that's a whole thing in and of itself. Forgiving offenses. Unforgiveness is sending a whole lot of folks to the graveyard real quick because that unforgiveness is eating us.
Into hell.
Into hell. Whether that is unforgiveness of parents who didn't do what they were supposed to do, unforgiveness of spouses because we don't like the way that they burnt our eggs, unforgiveness of children who won't listen to you, unforgiveness of co-workers who just are getting on your last nerve. And we take all of that stuff personally. So we lock them inside the jail cell. And the two things that I have all the time is I have my key to remind me, let them out the jail cell. And I also have my other favorite book, 70 times 7. It's time to live by forgiveness. And last, take accountability. If there's one thing that I have actually heard so many times, you just don't take accountability for nothing you do. Well, you know what? We're only going to get better if we strive to get better. We're only going to take accountability if indeed we say, flat-footed, it was my fault. I didn't. I'm the one who missed it. I'm the one who should have. I could have, but I didn't. I didn't. And when that becomes a standard for men, look out. Look out. Because as many have said in this broadcast, you can't weaponize when I already have taken accountability for what I missed. It holds no sway with me. It doesn't matter what you say. I know I missed it. You're absolutely right. I missed it. Sure did. Sure did. So now we're going to work, as Coach has said repeatedly, about finding ways to move forward with a plan of action. I'm not sitting down in the mud talking about, you pinch my tail. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get up, dust myself off, and I'm going to go. That's the important part. So starting Monday, 7 p.m., we're going to shift. Man, I need you there. I need you there. As I said, the good part about all of this is it's ready to go. It's ready to go. It's ready to go. It's ready to go. This thing is hot off the presses. And again, it allows you to go through these days with it. I'm going to introduce a little bit later. There is also an affirmation deck that goes along with it, where you can pull a daily card with morning and evening affirmations. For those who basically don't know where to start, let's start with just putting positive thoughts out into the universe by way of your mouth. Let's say today, I am going to be successful because I'm going to stay on task.
That's it.
And at the end of the day, we're going to say, thank you for everything that has happened today. And I thank you for those who helped me achieve it. The positive affirmations begin to change your thoughts, your mind, and the way that we do things. So join me 7 o'clock on Monday. And as I said, bring some friends along. So
Yes, sir.
Fun. Fun.
So, good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Coach Jack, anything you want to plug before we out of here?
I just say, man, if you want to find you a good short read book, I got a couple of them, Kick the Rooster and 7 Principles of Man. They both can be found on all the ebook platforms. So that's about all I got to plug, man. I had a great time with you guys today. So I really appreciate this.
What's up? This is Darius of Grace and Grit. We appreciate y'all coming to the Grit Takeover as we have did the thing this morning. I pray that y'all bring some more brothers the next time we do it, because they've been asking for a part 2. They want the part 2. And let's go out here and just get better today. You know what I'm saying? Tomorrow has its troubles, but let's get through today. Y'all have a blessed weekend. Have a blessed week. Walk in purpose. We love y'all. We out.
Hello, my name is Kenitra Moselle, and I am founder of a beautiful community called Grace for This. We are about women taking ownership of their wellness journey in 3 ways: personally, relationally, and professionally. I'm inviting you to be honest about your grieving experience, your healing experience, and then lastly, your building experience. You're going through this because you're graced for this.